Good afternoon. For this opportunity, I would like to present the result from the project Developing Value Chain Linkage to Improve Smallholder Cassava Production System in Indonesia. This project is a research collaboration between University of Brawijaya, the Indonesian Legume and Tuber Crops Research Institute, SIAT, Asia, and the University of Queensland. This discussion will be about the impact and sustainability pathway of smallholder cassava farming in the North Sumatra province of Indonesia. Background on adoption of the technologies. North Sumatra is one of the cassava production centers in Indonesia. Based on the data from the Indonesian Statistic Agency, the average yield of cassava in North Sumatra is around 30 tons per hectare. Although this yield is considerably high enough, it is still lower compared to the potential yield of cassava, which can reach to 50 tons per hectare. The rapid rural appraisal and household survey that were conducted in 2016 and 2017 showed that farmers use only local cassava variety in North Sumatra. The variety test carried in 2016 showed that some introduced varieties yielded a higher yield compared to the local variety. One of the introduced variety being tested, the Malang 4 variety, has the highest average yield among the 12 other varieties that being tested, and the Malang 4 yield can reach to 49 ton per hectare. This Malang 4 variety was also the most preferred by the farmers in terms of the physiological traits, and also the starch content, which are also preferable by the tapioca starch factory in North Sumatra. Hence, the Malang 4 variety were chosen to be distributed to the farmers through variety adoption activities. And in regards to the method and design of the adoption, the cassava was planted on farmer fields, um, and the cultivation of cassava, land preparation, plant spacing, fertilizer, and weeding activities was done according to what the farmers uh, already done. The project helped with planting material, uh, fertilizers, herbicides, and also supervised to ensure that the work has done correctly. In the year 2016 to 2017, there are 26 farmers who planted Malang 4, which distribute in 4 sub-districts of the Simalungun district and 1 sub-district of the Samosir district. Each farmer planted Malang 4 on area about zero point 0.2 to zero point 0.3 hectare. The next year, the number of the farmers who want to planting Malang 4 increased to 51 farmers, and the area also expanding, so including 3 sub-districts in the Simalungun Regency and 2 districts in Deli Serdang Regency. There are more farmers willing to participate. Unfortunately, there were not enough cassava planting material of this Malang 4. In 2018-2019, there is expected that around 60 farmers will follow the adoption program to planting Malang 4, located in the Simalungun, Toba Samosir district and Tapanuli, North Tapanuli district. So here are the activities that has been done regarding to the Malang 4 adoption. So initially in 2015, one of our partners, the private sector, the PT Bumisari, is the tapioca starch factory, bought Malang for planting material from Iletri, and then they distribute the Malang for to the farmers that have working together with the tapioca starch factory up until 2016. But also, the project introduced the Malang 4 variety with the others 12 varieties that being tested in 2015. And this planting material is redistributed to other farmers in the next following years. And up in 2019, the Malang 4 varieties are already planted in the Simalungun, Toba Somasir, and North Tapanuli. And about the result, the total area of farmer who planted Malang 4 is increased every year. So in 2016, it's about 4.6 hectare, increased to 8.2 hectares in 2019. And in 2018. In 2019, their total area is around 19 hectares. The development of the area of farmer who adopted Malang 4 is very slow. So yes, we can see that the increase in each year is not very significant due to the many farmers are renting their land, and also some of the farmers switch their commodities to other than cassava because of the price of the cassava at that time is very low. And for the 2019-2020, the adoption activities will be shifted to areas with wider cassava plantation, namely the Bandar Huluan and Siantar Martoba sub-district in the Toba Samosir area. It is only necessary to expand because farmers in those areas are planting cassava on their own land. So these are the list of farmers that adopt the Malang 4 varieties in 2017-2018. So as you can see here, previously they used the local varieties, which are the Malaysia varieties and also the Adira 4 varieties. And then they shifted to the Malang 4 varieties, and they get a considerably higher yield with the Malang 4 variety. And these are in table 2 presenting the harvesting of Malang 4 varieties in the 2018 to 2019. So the yield it's varied from the lowest yield is 15 ton per hectare in the field of Pak Turisno, and the highest yield were achieved by Pak Muara Sirait with the yield of 77 ton per hectare. And in table 3, we can see the farmers that still want to adopt the Malang 4 and Malang and Faroka varieties, which expected to be harvested in August 2020. At the moment, we don't have the data, but if as soon as we have the data, then we will update the information. And these are the pictures of the farmer abduction in 2018 to 2019. So you can see there, these are the Malang 4 varieties. You can see it's a very high yield variety. And also the planting material being redistributed between the farmers. And these are the field that also adopted Malang 4, Faroka, and other varieties known as Fatiwan in the Bandar Huluan sub-district of Simalungun. And this we expected to be harvested in July 2020. And these are the Malang 4 varieties, all in the sub-district of Siantar in Simalungun district. And these are, you can see, still Malang 4 varieties being planted in the sub-district of Uluan and Lumbang Lintong in Toba Samosir district. So what is the conclusion on the adoption of Malang 4? The first is that the Malang 4 variety has a high yield potential, and it can increase the production as long as it's supported by good cultivation, including fertilizers and weeding management. Beside Malang 4, in the Bandar Uluan sub-district, farmers also develop the Faroka varieties and planting other varieties such as Fatiwan and Fati2. Until now, there are many farmers in the Simalungun, Toba Samosir, and North Tapanuli district who still want to plant Malang 4. And these farmers are the ones that followed the project since 2018. However, there are also some farmers that do not continue to planting cassava, mostly due to the reason of that they shifted to other commodities that have higher economic value, such as corn or in the field day in 2018, farmers are encouraged uh, to planting Malang 4 because they see the neighbors or their family who planting Malang 4 and they get a good result. In 2019, the field day in the Toba Samosir sub-district, uh, the project also collaborate with farmers to collaborate with other tapioca star factory other than PT Bumisari, our partners. This one with PT Huta Hean, also a tapioca star factory, to upscaling the Malang 4 in the Toba Samosir region. Next, I want to talk about the business model and then the impact survey on the sustainability pathway for the smallholder cassava farming in North. So these are the business model that being developed in North Sumatra. So the farmers are the main producer of the cassava, and there are two stakeholders that collected the fresh tuber from the farmers. One is the trader is buying the fresh tuber from our farmers at a fair price, and the second one is a collector or agent from the tapioca start factory, and the agent is responsible to managing the distribution of fresh tuber uh, from the farmers to factory, and then ensure a fair price to the farmers, helping farmers in getting loan for fertilizer, herbicide, and tractor to clear up the land, and also managing issues between farmers and the factory. From the project, we concluded that the policymaker, the government, needs to making regulation to support the cassava development, and then increase the capacity of the field extension officer to support the farmers, to guarantee the agreement between the actors, and probably provide planting material to the farmers. And the researcher, university, and electric is responsible to develop technology production and the utilization of cassava other than just for tapioca starch, and also develop other varieties that suitable to the North Sumatra condition. The project also found that the supporting stakeholder here, such as the fertilizer company, is expected to have role to establish the availability or guarantee the availability of fertilizer to the farmers, and maybe also to provide the planting material to be sold to the farmers. And we also did the SWOT analysis to see the strength, weakness, opportunities, and threat uh, for the developing cassava business model in the North Sumatra. For the strength, we see that the farmers is experienced in the cassava farming. Almost the farmers have more than 10 years of experience planting cassava. And also they have a good technology, like good varieties, fertilizers application, and land preparation. The North Sumatra also have a good climate and land condition, which they can planting the cassava all year around, because they have a pretty good rain intensity. And also because of the cassava harvest is handled by the agent and collector, so farmers can focus on the production. In terms of the weakness, we analyzed that the production of cassava is still not optimum. There's still opportunities to increase the production, and farmers have a limited capital, economical capital, yeah. and then farmers' income are relatively low, mainly because of the uncertainty of the cassava, the fresh tuber price. And then there are no farmer groups, so farmers tend to have a competitive between each other in some of this. And what are the opportunities? The one is that the demand of the fresh tuber is relatively high, and then farmers can get additional income from cassava. And the tobacco factory at the moment, they facilitate a loan to the farmers to buy the fertilizer or even renting tractor. And what is the threat? The first one is that the fresh tuber price is very fluctuating, so there's uncertainty in regarding the price. Limited availability of fertilizers and planting material, and there's a land use change happening in North Sumatra, and this will cause the declining of available productive land for cassava, and less support from the government. Indonesian government mainly only focus on three commodities for food source, which are rice, maize, and soybean. And also competition of land use from other crops such as maize and palm oil. In 2019, we did the impact survey to see the sustainability pathway of this cassava smallholder in farming in North Sumatra. And there are five key questions that we want to look at with the impact survey. One is, how is the level involvement of farmers in the project throughout the project year 2017 until 2019? Second is, how is the farmer perception of the new varieties introduced by the project? The third one is, how is the farmer reaction to the fertilizer recommendation or trial from the project? And then we look at is there any changes in the way of profitability cassava farmers? And the last is, what is the main challenge to improve the cassava farming in the North Sumatra? The result from the impact survey shows that the majority of farmers, are about 93%, were aware of an experiment carried out in collaboration of the Electri, the Brawijaya University, and SIAT and the University of Queensland. Besides that, most of the farmers were aware of cassava collaboration activities between the farmers and uh, the research institute and the tobacco start factory, and about 73% were always present when there were training activities carried out by the project. Through the project activity, a new variety was introduced, which are the Melang 4 varieties. And the dynamics of that, it's around 20% of farmers surveyed were planting Melang 4 in 2016, and then uh, increased to 70% in 2018, and about 100% farmers surveyed were planting Malang 4 variety in 2018. There are growing interest in planting Malang 4 among farmers who didn't involve with the project in Toba Samosir region and the Sibisa subdistrict due to the higher yield obtained with the Malang 4 variety. By 2019, there are still new farmers asking for Malang 4 planting material or stakes from the farmers that participate in the project. And the farmers who participate in the project are willing to sell the planting material at the price around 500 to 1000 Indonesian rupiah per stand. Regarding the implementation of fertilization experiment, it turned out that 80% of the farmer are aware and came to see the trial, and about only 20% of farmers did not see the trial. All of the farmers involved in the project attend the field day so they aware about the positive impact of fertilization, and around 60%, 67% of the farmers who involved in the project were attending the fertilizer training. Farmers who didn't involve with the project understand the importance of applying the correct dose and the appropriate types of fertilizer, and they want to adopt the recommendation on based on the project. The majority of farmers using combination that always available in the area, which is the urea and the Ponska, with the varying dose. Typically, farmers applying urea at 156 to 300 kilogram per hectare, but when they also applying Ponska is NPK fertilizer 11-11-11 at the same rate. In some cases, farmers also use organic fertilizer, goat manure, around 6%. And farmers also use additional fertilizer of TSP, triple superphosphate, at the rate 100 kilogram per hectare. About 6% only apply this T triple superphosphate fertilizer. And what is the main challenge to improve the cassava farming? There are three changes. There are three changes felt by farmers in cassava cultivation experiment after the project. The first one is like regarding the planting space and fertilizer application. About 60% of farmers are feel benefit from the recommendation. Regarding plant spacing, about 27% of farmers, and then 30% of farmers are following the guidelines on planting distance, fertilizer recommendation, and also making mounds. The majority of farmers, around 86%, are still continue to planting cassava with the fertilizer recommendation, and the farmers are prefer the Malang 4 variety. And about the rest, about 30% of farmers said that there are few problems they face, uh, which are the length of time waiting for the tractor to prepare the soils, because in some village the number of the tractor is very limited. So the conclusion on impact survey is that the Malang fall varieties are well received by the farmers, and they are asking for more planting material, and this can be arranged with the help from the agents and the factory to provide more planting material to the farmers. The farmer level adoption and sustainability are depend on the level of involvement or activities from the agent to support the farmers in terms of planting materials and fertilizer. The sustainability of the farmer-agent relationship will depend on the agent orientation to the farmers instead of profit. So we notice there are two types of agent. Uh, One is that agent that profit oriented. So this one is not sustainable because they only want to support the farmer when they have money from the project. So once the project ended, the agent is reluctant to do more work to expand the Malang 4 and the fertilizer recommendation. And the second is the agent that fully committed to farmer. So this one is sustainable. We consider it as sustainable because these agents are willing to expand the Malang 4 cultivation and support farmers in terms of fertilizer availability and planting material once the project ended. The agent that's sustainable continue to support farmers with planting materials, preferable varieties, and also fertilizer. There are four agents that considered to be sustainable: Pak Sitorus, Mr. Choki, Pak Choki, Pak Sutikno, Mr. Sutikno, and Ibu Sirait that still continue to planting Malang 4 and expand the area to the other areas in Toba Samosir District, Bandar Haluan District, Lumban Julu District, and Siantar Matoba District. And I would like to thank you for your attention, and any comments, questions, we will discuss afterwards. Thank you.